What's up? It's Reed Lorenzo Shannon. I play Ekko in Arcane, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So I am so excited to be joined by today's guests. Today, we are going to be talking all things Arcane with Echo himself, Reed Shan. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the background. It's so crazy. It's just like a epic moments all over.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, I mean, epic. I mean, just one word to describe this series. It's become, one of my favorite shows of all time. And so when I
Wow.
found out initially that we were only getting the two seasons, I was like, oh, come on, man. But I mean, it's been so good for these two seasons, and I'm interested to see how the story wraps up in these last final three episodes. And I just
Yeah.
want to give you guys a heads up before we jump in. This will probably contain spoilers for episodes 1 through 6. So just make sure that you are caught up if you haven't watched that, and then come back and check out the interview. But yeah, Reed, I want to kind of go back to the beginning for you, just as far as how did you get involved with Arcane? Like I imagine obviously an audition and everything like that. And then what
Yeah.
was your process for finding Echo's voice?
So when I was younger, I grew up doing musical theater, and I ended up going on tour playing young Michael Jackson in Motown the Musical. And when we did that show, we came around to Los Angeles, and my parents were like, yeah, let's, keep moving towards something, but my parents are huge in education. And so they made sure that I stayed in school and I was able to like go somewhere where I could cultivate, this thing that I had, which was like a passion for art. And eventually I ended up singing on Nick Jr.,
Yeah.
doing Blaze and the Monster Machines. And over that time, that was all that I was doing. It was just sort of what that ended up doing. And I got into making music and doing stand-up comedy, just sort of cultivating, all of these things that were passions growing up. And I met a voiceover agent. They were like, why are you not, auditioning for voiceover more? And so I ended up auditioning for Cartoon Network and Arcane, just going in blind, like
Oh wow.
League of Legends story, untitled at the time, and Cartoon Network, which I ended up doing for 3 or 4 years. I was like the guy who went coming up next on Cartoon Network. I did that.
That's
Which
awesome.
there's a story in that, which I'll bring back because it matters.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I also went in and did this audition for League of Legends, and at the time, I mean, they were just saying, it's a kid, kind of looks like you, he's a street punk, but he's a scientist, and he wants to make the world better. And at that time, I was in high school, but that was how I was feeling about like the world and everything. You know what I mean? Um, and it just called out to me. Uh, and so I went in and I just did what I thought I could. And it was authentically giving life to the character of Echo. And it was just a crapshoot at the time. But then, they were like, yeah, that's what we're looking for,
Yeah.
And I didn't realize because, it took so long to make. I didn't realize the process that I was, really feeding into at the time.
Yep.
But in terms of finding the voice of Echo, it, I think it's every fight that we as humans fight. There was something that really changed it for me in one of the directing sessions where we were just really getting out this like hero in his voice. You know what I mean? Because he has so many vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
It was interesting for me in my life, like being, a young Black man in 2020 and sort of trying to figure out my place in the world and like what kind of man I want to be and do I want to be a leader, or is this, do I want to find other ways to, give back? It helped. It really just sort of like fused together for me,
Yeah, so you really connected with Echo like on a
yeah.
personal level.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that Riot and Netflix have done right. Like everybody that has been a part of creating it is just a fan of it, a fan of the art, or just personally connected. There's animators in France that I'm like lifelong friends with now, who's like there was a guy whose kid reenacted the young version of Echo in the bridge fight scene,
Yep.
and like he did it on camera so that they could animate off of it the little version of Echo, and that to me is like more than dedication. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
and you were saying as far as because I know you said you were bringing back the story of like Cartoon Network too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm curious about that. You said there was a
So
story, so I want to hear.
so Mick Wingert plays Heimerdinger
Yep.
in the show, and I play Echo, and obviously he's the mentor to Echo in season two. When I signed on to do Cartoon Network, remember I was saying like I didn't know what I was doing. The true story of that is my parents gave me an ultimatum. They said either you go to college or you get a job.
Yep.
And I was like, oh
You're like, all right.
boy, let me take every meeting that I can.
Yeah.
And Cartoon Network came in and like just picked me up, and but I had a bunch of these skills that had been untrained since I had left Broadway. I wasn't dancing anymore or anything like that. And I ended up needing like they just wanted to train me up to tune up, my announcer voice, which was like great. So
Yeah.
they sent me to this guy who's done a bunch of voiceover, Kung Fu Panda voiceover, like, and it was Mick Winger.
And it was
And it
him.
was years before, we got into Arcane and they were promoting it finally after years of it, being worked on. He was like, "Hey, you're in this too." And so it's like the student to teacher thing. It completely uncanny. To
Yeah.
me, it's weird.
The world has a really weird way of working sometimes, just how things like that happen, that almost
Yeah.
feels like it was meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that. And so, yeah, like you said, I mean, this is definitely a series that they've taken their time as far as, putting the show together. I mean, all of the art that goes into it from the voice acting to the actual visual art that we get on the screen. And so what was it like getting to jump back into that character, for season two? And what had you most excited about this next season?
Hmm. Yeah, it was, I mean, honestly, it didn't even skip a beat when we were getting back into season two. It felt like maybe there was a few months off of it, where they were pulling it together. But by the time they had announced it at the end of season one, we had already been, recording season two, and ADR was quick as well. That's something that I really loved. They get the raw takes, and then they cut it up with the animation. And I couldn't even begin to tell you when it comes back to me for the last time. It's like seeing those little moments that really really move you. Like I definitely had a couple of times where they showed me stuff that I just like cried in the booth,
Oh yeah.
because it's like evocative stuff. I struggle to find the words, especially watching it back. I'm like, wow.
I can
Wow.
totally understand where you're coming from because I mean, just even like season one as well, but watching season two, the amount of time that this show has just absolutely gut punched me, it's like, oh, and I can only imagine we got three more episodes to go, and I'm sure the ending is probably going to be even
Oh
worse.
man.
Uh,
Oh
but
man. It's
just with what we've
unreal.
seen the writing is so good, and just the little nuances in the animation, just the emotion that you see on the character's face. Sometimes they might not even be directly saying a line to someone, but just might be looking at them in a certain way. That
Right.
that detail is just for
Yeah.
me right now is unparalleled.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't even know where to begin yet. like on how on where to start with it. Even season one, I think that there was like a charm about season one that was just also really beautiful. And in the time that it's taken for from that to come out till now, it still has like it stood the test of time. Like you can throw that on and just be just as amazed, but now it's season two, it's like I mean you could dream for it to be good or better, but they are just like throwing it like
And
it's once in a generation for me, for sure, hands down.
it was a tough task too, because I mean that first season. So the first season came out. I feel like kind of came out and surprised everyone. I mean, it does have, the League of Legends mythology kind of behind it, but myself, I went into the show not knowing anything about League of Legends, and I feel like there's
Yeah.
probably a good amount of people that were the same thing that went into it, just started hearing the good word of mouth about the show, but where that first season, I think correct me if I'm wrong. Last time I looked on Rotten Tomatoes, I think it still had like 100% for the critics. And I think the audience was like
Yeah.
96, 97. So now
Yeah.
coming into season two, you kind of have those expectations of, well, season
Right.
one was so damn good. And that's a really high bar to live
Right.
up to.
Right.
And you guys have been living up to it with season two so far. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the passion. It's the passion of true art. Like it's the passion of a company that made a game that didn't know what they were doing then, but figured it out, and it's global. And then they just had this little idea. Like Christian and Alex are like twisted. They're good. They're good. Just and Amanda on the writing team. I think
oh
that
yeah.
it's not even just people who love video games. It's like people who love good stories, just great storytelling. And I think for something to be as highly rated as that, it needs to be that and divine, and it is. I think that like it's a beautiful piece of harmony. Somebody on Twitter asked me one word to describe season two, and
That's
I
tough.
responded dissonance.
Uh, That's tough to sum it up sum it up in one word, but
But it's so true because this thing that is like so harmonious,
yeah.
even in its like misfortune, it kind of captivates the whole thing. But if people can like change their point of view on it, it doesn't have to be a bad thing,
Yeah. I
you
love
know.
how really almost I'm trying to like think of off the top of my head like right now, but there's really no character in the series that I feel like is truly 100% good, 100% evil. There might be characters that maybe lean a little bit more like one way or the other, but
Yeah.
they all certainly have their moments where they're kind of in the gray too. And that for me just makes it so much more interesting rather than just having
Yeah.
a villain that's like, oh, twirly mustache guy and, I got an evil plan kind of thing.
Right, right.
It
And
just
it's
makes
so
it,
it's I
oh
was
yeah,
gonna say it's so interesting because there are people that would argue that Echo is, but now that you're like saying that, I'm thinking, I don't know, because even when he was younger, like when he was little man, he gave them the call that sort of kind of blew this whole thing up. You
yeah.
know what I mean? And that is a pressure. That's a guilt. You know what I mean?
I
So
would
it's
say
it's
Echo's
very
probably like
interesting.
probably one of the ones that is more on like the good side than obviously
Oh,
than
for
villain or
sure.
anything for sure. But yeah, everyone has those moments which yeah, just makes it so captivating to watch and unfold. Was there anything like particular when you because I don't know when you first got the scripts. I imagine did you just get it for what was coming up for your character? Did you know anything else that was going on with the other characters that they weren't involved with Echo or for the season?
Yeah, yeah. I got the scenes that I was about to do, and that was that. I mean, if when sometimes when I was in the studio, they might have showed me something else, or like showed me leading up to it to sort of figure out, the energy of it,
Yeah, something to go off of.
But normally I would go in to record when they just had sort of sketch renders, and that was sort of the more raw performances, just what they think, might work. And then next we go in with I mean, pretty much done render. It just isn't, doesn't have that like magic arcane sauce,
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Yeah.
Um, and and then now, and then we just wait. Um,
So you were almost probably surprised by, as surprised as some of the fans were when the episodes finally came out and actually getting to watch them.
yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like I saw the last three episodes a few months back. It wasn't done. But I'm just as like interested to watch, as everybody else. You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
Like I've been blessed to be a fan of everything that I've worked on, to this point, and it's a beautiful thing, like to be able to dedicate the thing that I love to do, to what I can work on, and for it to make an impact. That's all that I've ever wanted in life.
Yeah, and I mean to be involved in something like this, like you said, it's kind of like I feel like a once in a generation kind of thing. So I feel like every or at least a lot of creatives, I feel like that's kind of the goal to be involved in something like that that touches so many people. Now,
Definitely.
we were talking about before, I thought it was interesting in this, second season where you have Jayce and you have Ekko getting to meet up. I'm curious because obviously we have everything that happens with the Arcane, and then we haven't seen the last three episodes, so I don't know like what we're gonna get for like an explanation there, but it
Yeah.
seemed like they almost got all combined together into one being it with Jayce. But I'm just curious to you, what do you think Echo's first thoughts were of Jayce when they first had that initial meeting? And he's kind of like, "Oh, this is my former protege, and like you're my current protege." They're both mans of
Yeah.
size.
Yeah, I think Echo is just like it's crazy because he's so good, but he's also no bullshit. Like when he met up with Caitlyn, like he was just, nah, I'm gonna take this little orb thingy and whatever this is, and he's the same way. I think he also kind of, looks down on him,
Yeah,
a little bit. Like, I mean, come on. Like this guy, Heimer, the way we've been sitting cooped up tinkering and stuff, this is the guy.
yeah,
This is the guy. Tell me why we shouldn't save Zon. You know? And it's just crazy because it's so easy to get on board with. It's I don't know. I've played Echo in a lot of different versions. Like there's been more kiddie versions of Echo, and there's been some darker versions of
yeah,
Echo, like Detective Echo and stuff like that. But this Echo is so, just very, that's what I love about the show actually. Like the first season, when I first watched it and saw some of those punches, I was like, oh, the way that they step, they just have like a boldness about them. And that's
oh yeah,
that's that's the one thing that's like amazing to play into, and it feels, I think that's why people love it too, because it feels like a breath of fresh air almost,
yeah.
and in such a visually astonishing piece. It's like, wow, like you have to agree. You have to agree.
Yeah, the animation, I mean, like we've already said, is just incredible. Some of the specific, like I remember watching Arcane, for the first time. Like I said, going into the show, knowing absolutely nothing, just seeing the trailers, and I was like, wow, I really love the visuals of the show. Seems really
Yeah.
interesting. I'm gonna give it a chance. And one of my favorite things is watching a series or even a movie, but when you're watching something and you just get caught up in the moment. You just get goosebumps. And one of those particular scenes is the bridge scene between you and Jinx. And I'm sure, people have probably asked you about that before, but yeah, I remember going back and I think just rewatching that scene like multiple times after that first time watching it. What was
Yeah.
your reaction reading that scene in the script for the first time and then like actually getting to see it finished once it was done?
I remember putting it on for the first time and just remembering or feeling like, wow, this is such a, I think that was probably the first time that I maybe cried in a session or something like that.
Yeah, I
You
can say that.
know, because of, the what we were talking about, and the way that they felt about each other, and they also sort of keyed me into more lore of the universe to be able to just dive even deeper into it. And I mean, seeing it for the first time, I was just like stunned. I was
Don't
stunned
blame me.
because it it calls to that other side of the excitement and the rambunctiousness about it, because it's like it's so they're so emotionally tied.
And we have to give
In
a shout out
in
to the music as well because the
Oh
soundtrack for the series
yeah.
is just so damn good.
That's honestly that's the main question or comment that I've ever seen or received. The soundtrack, the music, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I'm still bumping the Heavy is the Crown,
Oh
you
yeah, yeah.
know, and the score version is unreal.
So good. Yeah, no, it's been that's on my rotation right now. Just, driving around in the car or whatever, just throw that on. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, no, I mean it's nice. I could go on all day. Like it's nice to be a fan of something like this and enjoy it and see other people enjoying it. Truly.
Now, for you with the show getting ready, or at least this part of the show, we'll see what happens with any spinoffs or anything like that in the future. Both Arcane wrapping up in the season with the final three episodes, and obviously you can't go into anything with there.
Yeah.
But what character would you have liked to see Echo have more interactions with, and
Hmm.
what interests you about kind of that relationship, potential relationship between those two characters?
Hmm. I wanted to see Echo and Mel.
Oh yeah,
I did because I think I would have enjoyed seeing Echo bring the world over,
yeah,
like sort of be the I don't know. I mean, I guess that's kind of like not the war-ridden sort of energy of the place, but it might have been nice to see what kind of world that might be,
yeah,
if there was peace between the cities. You know what I mean?
yep.
And what new problems might arise in that way. Like, because there's always gonna be something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like no nothing will ever be 100%, at peace or
No, no,
whatever.
no. As long as Shimmer's out here.
Yeah, yeah, or something else will pop up, I'm sure. But yeah,
Right.
actually I had her on for season one. We were talking about the character of Mel and everything, and it's crazy because there's just so many you go down the list. I'm like, oh, she's a fan favorite. You got Echo's a fan favorite, you got Jinx. You can almost just go up and down the lineup. It's like they're pretty much all fan favorites, which
Yeah.
so
And
very rare to find that in
that's
a
true.
series.
That's true. And even Savika this season is
So,
getting those hits in, yo.
oh yeah, yeah, I know that, especially the power ups with the with the arm and stuff like that. Oh yeah,
That's just crazy.
I love it. But yeah, no, that's definitely, and I'm curious to see what we find out with her. Obviously, I imagine her storyline is going to finish up with these last three episodes. But what's been going on with her this season, just with the Black Rose, but also I
Oh,
think obviously she's got a little bit of magic or power. People were wondering how she was going to survive the Jinx's missile, and
right.
there was a lot of
That's
theories
true.
with the reflection, like on her back. They're like,
Mhm.
oh, like is that going to protect her?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
thinking that's the case. We'll find out, I guess, with these last three episodes. But
Yeah. I like the Black Rose. I that's one of those things I had to go back when I in my rewatch and like really sit and be like, wow, he's Black Rose is crazy.
yeah, it's legit, actually, kind of terrifying. Some of the imagery that we got for what we've got from them so far.
Seriously, kind of creepy.
Yeah, yeah. Which honestly, I love that stuff because I'm a big horror fan. That's like probably like my favorite genre. So anytime you can kind of inject that into other projects that I'm watching, it's like I always appreciate that. But yeah, it definitely creeps me out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, just talk. We talked about how much between the fans, between the critics, the show has just connected with people on such a deep level. As a creative, for yourself, what does that mean to be part of a project, but also have a character that has connected with people so deeply? Because I'm sure you've probably seen the cosplays, you've probably seen the fan
Yeah.
art and everything. What does that mean to you, just as a creative, but also just a human being?
Um, my whole mission in life has just been to give back and bring joy to people. And, I've been blessed with some gifts with my voice and just bringing presence to certain things and I think that that's for the world. I don't believe it's for me. And so in terms of Arcane, I just am so happy that the world has it and the world loves it. You know, truly, it brings joy to me, and for me at 24, it's starting to make me feel very confident in bringing things to the world. And I couldn't be happier.
It
Truly,
definitely it offers an escape for a lot of people. Different people got things going on, and just to be able to
yeah,
watch something like this and just to step into that world and just be totally encapsulated in it. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like you sit down, you watch these episodes, and it's just almost like a mini movie.
yeah, yeah. No, it's beautiful. Like I've received messages from people from all over the world, just like thanking me, and it's so crazy, because for me, I just went in and gave whatever passion I could to it, not thinking anything of it. Truly,
Yeah,
that worked
lots of
out,
people.
like, as a young actor, as somebody like, I was on a Broadway tour and then I hit puberty,
Yep.
and so internally I had to work through that through high school, and so to be doing that all the while, and thinking like at times I would go into a session and be upset, or have external stuff going on, but I had this one session that I could just be an actor,
Yep.
and that was beautiful. I've seen so many comparisons to like Macbeth and stuff in it that I didn't even know they were gonna put into it, and because I was just going in there and they were allowing me to play as
Yep.
an actor. It's very calming to the mind for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, you
Yeah,
definitely got a great team, behind you as far as, the everything from the animation, but just the writing as well, the music. It's just it takes a village to put a project together, and
absolutely,
you guys have an incredible one for, for Arcane for sure. Looking
absolutely.
back on these two seasons too, I mean, obviously, I'm sure the bridge scene probably like stands out to you, but what has been your favorite scene or moment to see to go from the script and then to see translate to the screen afterwards? Was it that, or do you have any other moments that stick out for you for Echo?
It's from Act Three.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's from X3. Like it's the coldest thing I ever saw written that I could perform, and then seeing it in person. I got to see it twice before I guess it's about to come out,
Yeah, this Saturday.
and it's just like
All right. Yeah, obviously I won't ask won't ask you like anymore. I don't want to get you in trouble, but I mean that alone, that tease, man, I guess just us fans of Arcane, we are not ready for what's coming in these final three episodes.
I won't say anything. It's beautiful though, and I'm excited. I'm right there. I gotta see this. I
I think
gotta see it.
I was listening to another interview where Amanda was actually on, and she was talking about, I think it was a question just saying, what was your favorite line that you have written? And I'm pretty sure she said that it was a line in episode 8 or something like that. And so obviously we haven't seen it, but she's like, oh yeah, I can't tell you guys what it is, but it's coming in episode 8. So we
Yeah,
got some great
yeah,
stuff to look forward to. I mean, everything that it's been building up to so far hints at that. So
yeah,
I can't
yeah.
wait, man. Yeah, I mean, as far as outside of Echo, I guess, what character, and maybe it might be hard to pick maybe one, but outside of Echo, what character have you kind of been most invested in their journey going through these two seasons?
Mm, that's a good
Because
question.
I
It's
know
it
you're a
is
fan too,
really
so
Yeah, it's really hard to pick. I was gonna say Vi, but I am kind of I'm gonna get shit for this. I am tired of Caitlyn. She just is so it's too insufferable for me right now. There's enough going on. All right.
Yeah.
But I love my girl Vi. I just I respect the fight. Um, the Black Rose stuff had me canceled out. Like I love Mel, but she got this one. She gonna get out of this one. So
Yeah.
um maybe yeah, no, uh, I I like I loved what Jinx and Isha had going. And
Oh,
it's depressing.
oh yeah. Yeah, talking about gut punches, like I said, mentioned earlier in the conversation, that just the parallels in what happened with that with season one, so done so, and I almost knew instantly as soon as that character was introduced, I was like, they're setting us up for heartbreak. Something bad's gonna happen. And sure enough, sure enough it did. But I mean, yeah, the way that they did that, that final moment, just the animation of the two characters, them hanging out, her
Oh,
jumping, and then the little, the
it's
gun that she makes. Oh man. Yeah, so I'm getting chills just like into talking about like that
yeah,
scene like right
yeah. I
now.
gotta go
So
watch it again. I
yeah,
gotta see
yeah.
it again.
No, but and it's funny that you say that about Caitlyn because I was a little worried. I was like, oh no, like is the character just gonna be going too far gone? But I did like in I believe yeah, it was episode 6 that we kind of got that little bit of the redeeming moment where she helped
Yes,
out Vi,
yeah,
and I was like, okay,
yes.
all right, now we're going back to the
We
the
can
the
work.
good side.
We can work. We can work.
Yeah, yeah,
Is there a good side really?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, like we
what's gonna
talked about.
happen? I guess
Yep,
that's why that's probably why people are having a hard time with the season one, season two situation because it's like, man, no, I need to see the good side,
yeah.
But I don't know, that could be the message, like I think it's one of those things that can also be perceived by anybody, but that can definitely be one of the lessons. Like it doesn't have to be good or bad.
I know
Just
some
as,
people are hoping for a happy ending, for the characters that they're fans of.
yeah.
I'm just nervous that it's like I just don't know if we're gonna have a happy ending for like almost anybody on the show. I just feel like it's gonna be one of those where it ends on such a gut punch. But
Mm. Well, it is the final season.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, I think that those are some good picks out there for you. Yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you would like to say about just getting to collaborate with this amazing team? Everyone, whether just the animation, the writing, the
Yeah.
other voice actors. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about working on Arcane overall? And just where can fans stay up to date with your work moving forward?
I'm honestly forever grateful, that I've been able to partner with Riot Games and see that beautiful partnership with Netflix to expand this beautiful piece of art to the world. I'm always going to be happy to be a collaborator in like any of the work that I do. So this has been a pure joy. I'm excited for the world to see Act Three for sure. And in terms of my work, I have a movie coming out with Burner of Cookies Enterprises called Splash City. Um, at some point,
Or no,
yeah,
no date yet.
and yeah, in 2025.
Okay.
Um, always dropping music, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I make a guest appearance in Pulse on Netflix,
Okay. All right. So
which is coming up, at some point. I don't
yeah.
know if I'm allowed to say that though. So hey. They announced it though, so it's good. It's all
Yeah, yeah.
good.
So it's out there. It's not like it's a secret.
No, I was just a guest star, so they didn't announce me, you
Yeah,
know. But
gotcha.
it's beautiful. I've seen a little bit of it. It's good. It's good. I genuinely like it. I was a Grey's Anatomy fan for years, but they working on something.
All right. Well, hey, man, anything with you, I've become a big fan of your work. So anything with
Thank you.
with you, I can't wait to check out, your future
Yeah,
projects. That's definitely something that I'll be keeping an eye on for sure.
yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen already, watch The Wilds on Amazon. I am in the second season of that, which to me is also a really great show. You
Yeah, no, I
know,
haven't seen that. So that's something I'll have to, because I got Prime, so I'll have to go check that out then.
yeah. Oh man, if you like. It's like the Lord of the Flies, the first
Okay.
season, but with young ladies, and then there's like a boys' island. It's some pretty raw goodness.
All
It's
right.
good.
Perfect. Well, hey man, and yeah, you're on Instagram. Do you have like any
Yep.
other social media or anything for people to follow you, or is that
Um.
kind of the main?
Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at Reed Shannon. Instagram Reed.Shannon. You'll find me there. TikTok, The Reed Lorenzo Show. And I'm gonna start a Twitch soon. So
Ooh, nice.
yep.
All
Gotta
right.
collab. Yep.
Well, Reed, hey man, it was great talking to you today. Like I said, I mean, this show, it's incredible. Your character, Echo, I mean, he's
Thank
touched so
you.
many people, and just I'm a big nerd when it comes to this stuff, all the behind the scenes stories and everything. So getting to talk to you was so much fun. I appreciate your time, and you're welcome back anytime in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was like such a beautiful conversation about this beautiful thing. What's up? It's Reed Lorenzo Shannon. I play Echo in Arcane, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.